Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Mike. I've had quite a bit of requests regarding what mods I use for Skyrim VR, and also kind of wanted to give a process of how it is to modify Skyrim VR. First thing you're going to want to do is grab an application called Vortex, and I'll put the link in the description below. This is the application we're going to use in order to modify Skyrim VR. It is the easiest and most comprehensive application you can use. Once you have Vortex installed, you'll see what you see in front of us. The first thing you're going to see right here is my dashboard. Don't pay any attention to that. We're going to go over that later. The first thing you want to do is get SKSE, which is a script extension for Skyrim VR. Your mods will not work unless you put this in here. And I'm going to try to explain this to you as best as possible, so please bear with me. I'm not a tech guru. So here's my list of mods. The number one I have is a script extender. What you're going to do is you're going to follow this, which is also going to be a link in the description. And you're going to go ahead and copy that and place it into your web browser. It's going to bring you to this page. What you're going to want to do is you're going to click on the current VR build 2.0.11 or whatever it is at this current time. You're going to click on that. It's going to ask you to save. Hit OK. I already have mine saved. So it brings up as SKSE VR blah blah blah, whatever version it is. You're going to want to extract this using 7-zip or a different program that's capable of extracting it, and I'll put 7-zip's link in the descriptions below as well. You're going to want to extract all files or extract here, which I've already done. I've already extracted all that, and you're going to have this file right here, the SKVR. You're going to double click on that. What you're going to see inside there is a couple files. What you're going to want to do is you're going to find your game file. So for me, it's going to be in Steam. It's going to be Steam Apps, Common, and Skyrim VR. You want your main folder. If you want to, you can open the Skyrim VR README, and it'll tell you to copy all the DLL and EXE files to your Skyrim directory. So what that means is you're going to take these files right here. You don't have to do the README, but you can if you want to. Select all those, copy, get that out of the way, and then you're going to paste. I'm not going to do it because it's already in here. Paste into your main Skyrim VR directory. If it asks you to replace anything, just hit yes, replace. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to go back to this same file page for the Skyrim VR SKSE and the data file. You're going to also want to copy that in the same main Skyrim VR folder. You're going to also hit paste. It's also going to ask you if you want to replace. You hit yes. Skyrim VR SKSE is now installed. You have to do that one manually. This is basically the only file you have to do manually. It cannot be done with the mod manager. So once you're done with that, you're ready to start installing mods. I'll provide my list here a little bit, but what I want to show you is how you're going to be installing the mods in the first place. So again, down in the description below, you're going to have Nexus Mods, Skyrim Special Edition /mods. So after we have the script extender installed, we're ready to start installing mods. There's an automatic way to the Nexus Mod Manager, and there's also a manual way. Some of these mods may require a manual install, and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So in the description below, you'll find my main link. It says the nexusmods.com Skyrim Special Edition /mods/ and then after the slash is where we enter the mod ID. We go to my list, and you'll see that every single mod down here has an ID number associated with it. Some do not, as you see, like this one right here. This one's not a Skyrim Special Edition mod, so I will have this link down in the description below for these particular mods, but everything else is going to have an ID number next to it, as you see. You're going to start off everything with this, and then after this / you're going to have whatever ID number it is. I can't add all this into the description below of YouTube because it's limited me to 5,000 characters, and this is something like 10,000 characters long, so this is the short and easy way I can do it, and I'll slowly scroll through my list of mods shortly. So to start off with installing a mod on Vortex, you're going to use the link I provided in the description right here, which is the HTTPS blah 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 blah. Copy it, and we're going to go and put it into our web browser. It's going to pop up basically the main mods page of Nexus Mods Manager. So at the end of this is where we start adding our application IDs, or excuse me, the mod IDs. Go back to my list. So let's choose one to use. So let's see, Enhanced Textures and Detail, which is mod 992. We'll add 992 at the end of this, 992, and this should be Textures and Details. Enhanced Textures Details. That's how you're going to find these mods. Okay, so after you've found a mod you want, for example, I want this new light refracting glass armor and weapons mod. I don't have it installed, so I'm going to show you how to install it. You're going to go to the main page, and you're going to see all these different tabs: description, file, images, videos, etc. You can go through all those you want, but the main one you want is files. You'll find main files and miscellaneous. You can install the miscellaneous ones if you want. I stay away from miscellaneous ones because they tend to cause bugs and issues. You want the main file, and that's the only ones I'm actually suggesting you download. So there's two ways of doing it. You have manual and mod manager download. Since you already have a mod manager, which is the Vortex application, you can choose manual if you prefer, which I'm going to show you, and the mod manager download. The mod manager download is easy. It's basically automatic. But some mods don't have the mod manager download. It only shows a manual download. So you'll manually download it, you'll click, it'll say you want fast or slow download. Unless you own the premium edition, which you have to pay for, you're gonna click slow download. I've already downloaded this mod, so the mod will download to wherever your download location's at. I have the light refracting mod right here. So we'll get out of that and go back into our Vortex application. You're going to want to go to downloads, and if you're using for manual download, you're going to take whatever the mod is, and you're going to click it and physically drag it down to this box down below where it says click to enter or drop URL files. So you're going to click and drop that. As you notice, when I bring it over there, it turns green. It's going to immediately add it to your install application. You can then click install if you choose, and it'll start installing that mod. If you want to do the mod manager install, which is easier, click on mod manager download. It'll bring up the same thing we did for manual. Click slow download, and in 4 or 5 seconds, it'll automatically put it into your Vortex tray. So now we can check Vortex, and it should, there we go, it just populated. So now it's downloading. And after it's done downloading, you can then install the mod. Since I already have the mod downloaded for manual, I'm just going to go ahead and click, drag it, and install it. Okay, so now we're installing. You'll notice up top in Vortex that it's installing the application. And I'm hoping with this install it's going to bring up a little bit of issues that I can also show you how you can resolve, because you're going to be having a ton of mods conflicting with one another. So like typical mods, it'll ask you what kind of options you want. So let's say reflecting glass armor mod. Let's see, I don't know, the light reflecting. Let's just go, and some of these will require certain mods to have in the background. CGTI. So we'll go with this one, and we'll go with vanilla replacer, and it'll start installing. So the mod is now installed. You want to enable the mod, and we're gonna do this live time. It'll deploy, and you see that there is a external change or conflict. So with this, the CBBE is wanting to change, so we're gonna go ahead and confirm. That may not pop up for you. We're gonna address this here in a second. Okay, so it's now installed and enabled. So there's unresolved conflicts, which means that this new mod is conflicting with probably another armor mod that I have. We'll click on more, and you can see that the CBBE and the remodeled CBBE is having conflict issues. So we'll go to show, and this is exactly what I wanted to bring up. So when you start modifying the ever-living crap out of Skyrim VR, you're gonna have conflicting mods with one another. Bear with me, this is gonna be probably long-winded, and I'm gonna try to explain this as best as possible. It's gonna bring up, as you see for CBBE or Caliente's Beautiful Bodies, question mark right here. And what it was conflicting with is right next to it, the light reflecting glass armor weapons mod, which I just did. As you see, this mod now has conflicts with other mods in the game. So our new light refracting glass armor weapon mod is conflicting with the CBE mod. And this seems to be the only mod that's conflicting with. It is conflicting with these two, but we're gonna start with this first one. Most of the time, you can get away with using the suggested, and it'll be either after or before. And sometimes that resolves problems. We'll go ahead and click save, and we'll see if deployment is necessary. We'll deploy. And we'll also see that there's also another unresolved conflict this new mod is causing. We'll go back and click more, and it'll pop up something else. So go ahead back and show. So now that the last time we resolved the confliction, it's now having a little bit less confliction, but it still is confliction going on. It's kind of hard to explain, but the best I understand is now that the remodeled armor is now having conflicts with this new glass armor mod. So we'll click on it, and it doesn't give us a suggestion this time. We can try the other one, doesn't give us a suggestion. So the way that I try to resolve this is to figure out which of the mods are the major mod and which one is a supporting or basic mod. So since the remodeled armor mod is basically taking all these armors and remodeling them, and then the light refracting, the light refracting mod is basically a minor mod in my opinion, because it's now just adding refraction to the armors. I'm gonna go ahead and put the remodeled armor CBE mod and make that before. And then I'll try that. And then we're gonna see if it works. Sometimes it doesn't work, and it's gonna be basically this back and forth game of trying to figure out which mods work with one another. Okay, so deployment interrupted. I'm glad all these things are happening because you're gonna experience all this. Mod rules contain cycles, and this is where it gets super complicated, and this is where a lot of people get confused. You're now gonna have this up here where it calls cycles, where now you have this clickable link right here where you're gonna have a bunch of mods conflicting with one another, and it's gonna bring up this weird geometry puzzle. Sometimes it can get super complicated where there's 20, 30 mods. Luckily, this one's easy. So here are the mods that are now being conflicted, and it's bringing it down to a basic model. You can take these black orbs and move them all around. Try to position them to where it makes the geometric shape easier to understand or look at. And what you're looking at are the arrows in the direction of which the mods are loaded, and it's called a, I think it's called a rule. Which ones rule one another is the way I see it, and if I'm wrong, please correct me in the description or in the comments. So what I'm looking for are major mods. So Skyrim by Future, I'm assuming that's how you pronounce it, that is basically adjusting every single detail in the environment. That is a huge mod, so I know that is a major mod. Remodeled Armor, that's a basic mod. That's basically a minor mod, and this is a major mod. So I'm seeing a rule here and a rule here that looks like it might be conflicting with one another. But since the biggest of all of them is this one, because this one's adjusting all of the environments in Skyrim, I'm gonna start here. Well, clearly I don't want CBBE to start before this major mod. So I'm gonna go ahead and take this, click on it to highlight it blue, right click it and flip rule. That eliminated one of our problems. So now we're down to CBBE, remodeled, and light refracting. Which one's the bigger mod of the two, or of the three? CBBE is the basic mod for all the body reconstructing, and then the armors come afterwards. So we see that this cycle right here should be flipped the other way. Here to here doesn't matter because they're both minor mods. This is the major mod. You want this one pointing to the minor mods. That's at least the way I understand it, and this is the way I've gotten all my mods to work. So we're gonna take this rule, click on it, and we're gonna flip it. And that seemed to solve our problem. So that's the way I figured out how to use the mods if you ever come up to these two screens. I know it probably seems really hard to understand, and I apologize if I seem like I was rambling. It's really hard to convey how this mod system actually works when you come to those two screens. Everything should be working and good to go, and we can go back to our mods list and we can look for that particular mod. Okay, so now if you see in my mods list, you now have light refracting glass armors and weapons enabled, and there are no notifications saying that there's any kind of conflicts going on with our mod, and now the mod should be working. This is when you'd go in game and confirm that the mod is working, and I highly recommend you do mods one at a time, and I'm telling you, this is gonna take forever. Now I want to touch on one of the mods that you'll be putting in here, and I highly recommend, which is Caliente's Beautiful Bodies. So for the mod Caliente's Beautiful Bodies, it's going to be known as Body Slide. You see mine is already right here in the dashboard. If you don't have it there, it's more likely you need to create the tool. So you're going to go to Add Tool, New, and you're going to go to Target. And the target is going to be the actual location of your Skyrim VR. You're going to want to go into the data folder, and that's where it's going to install the application per the mod manager. You're going to see Caliente's tools. You're going to go to Body Slide, and you're going to find Body Slide X64, and you're going to hit Open, and then hit Save. And that should create this little dashboard icon for you. Okay, so in order to use Body Slide, you're going to hit the play button, which basically loads that application. And you're going to come up with a bunch of these sliders. And this is where it gets complicated and a lot of people screw up with CBBE. You have a preview button down here at the bottom. Click on preview and it brings up whatever armor set you have selected up at the top. So for example, this is the steel armor set that's been modified by another mod. It's taking the basic steel armor and changing it. So what outfit do you want to modify? We'll go up here and you can select through any of these you want to do. So let's say if we want to go to Ancient Nord. It'll bring this up and basically that's what AL is wearing. And we want to change how it looks and how it appears. In order to use the preview, you have the preview button down below and it brings it up and you can move it around with a left click. All that does is position it on that little window. Right click, you hold right click and you can rotate and move it around, and it's a matter of you figuring it out with the mouse, but it's holding right click modifies and turns it around. The scroll on your mouse will zoom in and out. So that allows you to manipulate the 3D model in this preview window. So we want to modify something. The first thing you need to understand about models in Skyrim VR is that there's a low weight and a high weight value associated to characters in Skyrim VR. And what I mean by weight is characters will have given a value of 0 to 100. 0 to 49, which is considered low weight, 50 to 100 is considered high weight. For example, Lydia is going to be a high weight character because she is a bigger model in terms of height, physique, and game physics weight. Aella will be a low weight model. She is smaller, more petite, and less weight physically for physics in game. I know it seems a little bit confusing, but just think about the smaller characters in game have a lower value of weight associated to them, just like a big bulking man in the games can have a higher weight associated with them. And these things are very, very key when it comes to modifying how the characters look. For example, this is what we want to adjust, this particular costume, and you can go through this entire list and change every single one to your heart's desire. So we want to change this one. You can go through all of these sliders and modify any kind of aspect of how the body looks. So for example, if we want to remove the sleeves, we can go ahead and click and remove the sleeves. If you want to remove plates, we can do that, so on and so forth. If you want to adjust the arms, the legs, the breast, the stomach, the shoulders, everything you want to do, you can modify it. To do so, you're going to use the sliders. Now, to see the visual representation of the actual preview, you have to use the high weight. So to make this as obvious as I can so you can see it via screen, I'm going to modify the breasts. If I take the upper and modify it, you see that they are increasing and decreasing in size. If you use the lower weight, it does nothing. It does nothing in the preview, it's doing something in game. And I want you to remember that there is low weight and high weight associated with characters. If you want every single character in the game that's utilizing this costume to look the exact same, this is what you need to do. You need to go through all these little parameters right here of all these sliders and adjust it the way you want to. So if we're going to take this and we want to take and just modify the breasts, make them smaller or bigger, let's just make it right here, for example. You're going to want to go down, and this is the very important part, is that you want every single character to utilize this exact model and costume setup. You find this arrow down here, it says to copy the high weight slider values to the low weight, and then you have this right here where it says the obverse of that, low weight to high. So right here, since you're modifying the high weight, because that's the only one that's making changes to the actual preview window, as you can see low weight isn't, you want to take everything that's in the high weight window and copy it to low. As you see, all the sliders on the left-hand side have now been changed. In order to save this to every single model in the game, you'll hit build. It'll pop up this notification that the process is successful and hit OK. Now, if you really want to get particular, so all the low weight models in the game that are utilizing this are going to look a certain way. Adjust all the sliders. Again, we'll do this again. So if you want all the small characters in the game to have this physique, you can modify the high weight, but just copy over to low and then zero out all your high weight. So you're going to take all these and zero them back out. Even though it's changing what the description looks like in the actual preview, you are going to have these changes for all the low weight models. And the same goes things for high weight. If you want the bigger females in the game to have a certain particular look to them using this type of costume, you're going to adjust all the right sliders and zero out all the left. If you want every single character in the game that has this type of costume on, you want to make sure that the left and right are saved together. So in order to run Skyrim VR with all the mods you have now downloaded, you have to do so through the Vortex Mod Manager. It's the only way you can run the game with all the mods operating. If you don't have a Skyrim VR launch application icon like I do here, you're going to add another tool. Go to New, and it'll bring up this same page. What you're going to see is everything you see here, wherever your target path is for your Skyrim ER or Skyrim VR EXE, and it's going to show all the same things you see here. You're going to click save, and then you should have an icon popping up right here to launch Skyrim VR. You'll hit play, and it's going to take a good 20 to 30 seconds to get your Skyrim VR to load up. After that is done, you're going to be in Skyrim VR and all your mods should be working. And that's where you can troubleshoot to make sure all your mods are working. And I again suggest doing mods one at a time. That way you can tell exactly what you've changed and if it's actually changed or not. If you install 150 mods all at one time, you don't know if 5 or 10 or 20 of these mods aren't working. As you also see here on my dashboard, I have Forces New Idols in Skyrim. That is a mod you were going to have to download because it's a prerequisite for a bunch, but you're never going to do anything with this. It's going to automatically populate it up here. If not, you're going to have to make another new tool and you're going to go ahead and follow the same path for this. Resaver is another application that you see in my list that'll help you fix save game files once you start modding, because if you mod something and it breaks, there's no going back. Resaver helps you kind of fix that save game file. I'm not going to go over how to use this because it's very complex and I've only got it to work a couple of times and I truly don't understand it yet. So as soon as I do fully understand it, I'll hopefully make a video about that. The one last thing you're going to have are plugins. Down here below mods, you're going to see plugins page. And all these are going to be plugins that all the mods are going to be installing. You shouldn't have to install plugins by themselves, they'll install with the mods. It'll ask you if you want to enable plugins, enable all plugins. So if you have a problem where there's a plugin conflicting with one another, you're gonna have to go through the same process with the mods. And now what everybody's probably wanting is my particular mods list. It is very long, so I'm gonna scroll through it very, very slowly. So if you want a particular mod, pause the video and take the mod ID and put it at the end of the link that I have in the description below, and that'll bring you to the mod page. And then you can go ahead and install it as we've discussed prior. So here's the list. It's very, very long. And I'm going to scroll through it, and if you need to, just go ahead and pause and write down these numbers. So I have them broken down into categories. So here's weapons and armor, all my VR mods, visuals and graphics, utilities, which shows the body slide, what we talked about earlier. Outfit Studio I won't go into because I don't use it. We have the user interface, quest and adventure, presets, patches, overhauls, NPC children, NPC, models and textures, which there are a lot, and I'm going to go ahead and go through this slowly. So go ahead and pause anytime. Mercantiles, magic spells and enchantments, locations, landscape changes, items and objects, immersion, gameplay effects and changes, environmental, creatures, clothing, cities, towns, villages, and hamlets, bug fixes, body, face, and hair, audio SFX, audio music, and animation. These are all the mods I'm using. And again, if you see the link, like this one, I'll have it down in the description below because it's its own. It's a separate type of mod that's not Skyrim Special Edition. If you see a number like this, add it at the very, very end of my main link that I have in the description below, and that'll take you to the mods page. This is the only way I'm going to be able to provide a list of what mods I'm using because, again, YouTube's description box is very, very limited. Well, hopefully that this video is going to help you guys modify Skyrim VR. It is a bit of a complex and time-consuming process to do so. I hope the mods that I've listed do work for you. They work for me. I hope I wasn't overly too confusing in my way of describing on how to actually modify Skyrim VR and some of the problems that you're going to come across. If you have any other further questions or any kind of things you need to have answered, drop a comment down below and I'll do my best to help answer them. And as always, I appreciate you guys watching. If you do have a comment, please drop it in the comment section below and I'll answer them as fast as possible. And I hope you guys have a fantastic day.